I spoke last night with one general manager who is considering taking Shedeur Sanders today. He pointed back all the way to March 2024 and something that Shedeur's father, Deion Sanders, said on a podcast talking about both Shedeur and Travis Hunter, saying that if they are drafted by a team that they don't want to go to, he's going to step in and pull an Eli, meaning force those players to not actually go to that team and try to get them traded. Throughout the pre-draft process, Shedeur Sanders very much proceeded as if he was dictating to clubs where he was going to go rather than how the draft works, which is the other way around. And there were a bunch of opportunities missed at the various checkpoints through that pre-draft process. Go all the way back to All-Star season.
This morning, the NFL launched an official investigation into a viral prank call targeting draft hopeful Shedeur Sanders, son of Hall of Famer Deion Sanders. On Friday, Shedeur picked up the phone thinking it was a coach calling to welcome him onto an NFL team, but it wasn't a coach, it wasn't anyone connected to the league. Instead, the call came from a group of young men, seen in a video now making rounds on social media. The clip instantly went viral, and the situation surrounding Shedeur Sanders and the NFL draft has become one of the most talked about stories in sports this week.
I believe that all 32 NFL team owners and their executives and NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, I believe they all came together in a KK Ku Klux Klan type of clandestine meeting, and they decided, allegedly, I believe, that they were going to embarrass, humiliate, and sabotage both Deion Sanders and his son, Shedeur Sanders.
Now, everyone's trying to figure out what really happened that day. Some are convinced this wasn't just a prank, it was a power move by NFL leadership to send a message. They believe that NFL owners wanted to humble Deion Sanders by using his son Shedeur as a pawn, and by the sound of it, Deion believes the same. He's publicly voicing concern that there may be a larger agenda at play, alleging that some NFL executives and team owners are working behind the scenes to put him in his place.
That NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, I believe, allegedly, was also involved on this scandal to embarrass, humiliate, and sabotage both Deion Sanders and his son Shedeur.
One NFL insider already leaked that several coaches and owners thought Shedeur came across as too entitled or arrogant during interviews. On top of that, they weren't happy that he skipped the NFL Combine. But what seems to bother them even more is the presence of Deion himself, acting like he owns the spotlight. Sources claim some league executives felt that Deion was moving like he ran the league, and the billionaire owners, mostly white, weren't having it.
This morning, the NFL investigating this prank call to draft hopeful Shedeur Sanders, son of NFL legend Deion Sanders, picking up the phone Friday, thinking it was a coach inviting him to join the team.
Strictly for that reason.
But it wasn't a coach or anyone from an NFL team.
This is Mickey Loomis here, GM of the Saints.
Instead, it was these young men seen in this video circulating on social media.
This sparked speculation that Shedeur's draft slide was less about talent and more about control. It's worth noting, out of 32 NFL teams, 31 are owned by white majority owners. The only non-white majority owner is Shahid Khan, a Pakistani American who owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. And according to sports analysts and online commentators, this imbalance may have played a major role in how Shedeur was perceived. Many are calling this a textbook example of how black athletes, especially those who are confident and unapologetic, often face backlash for the same behavior that's celebrated in white athletes. Public figures like Dr. Umar Johnson have gone so far as to say this entire incident was an intentional attempt by NFL owners to humiliate both Deion and Shedeur Sanders and remind them who truly controls the league. But not everyone's convinced this situation was a calculated blackball. NFL legend Cris Carter stepped in and made it clear. He doesn't believe there was any collusion involved. In fact, he criticized both Deion and Shedeur Sanders for creating too much noise off the field. and for overplaying their hand in a league that doesn't respond well to flash without results. The public reaction, completely divided.
Happy, man?
God is so good.
Hey, do you forgive the prankster?
God is so good, man.
Okay, man. Thanks very much, buddy. We need hard knocks, bro. We need hard knocks.
Some fans are calling the whole thing a textbook case of racism. They argue that white quarterbacks with far worse attitudes have still been given opportunities, while confident black players often get labeled as entitled or problematic, but others aren't letting Deion off the hook. They believe he brought this situation on himself, talking recklessly in interviews, challenging the league, and treating his college program at Colorado like it was already an NFL franchise. According to that view, the league didn't appreciate the bravado and chose to send a message. The sentiment is simple: act like you run the league and don't be shocked when they check you by humbling your son. So now the real question stands: was Shedeur truly blackballed? Or did Deion's high-profile behavior and attempts to control the narrative cost his son a fair shot? Let's take a closer look at how Deion himself responded to the situation.
I don't feel like this happened, for no reason. All this is of course, fuel to the fire. And under no circumstance, we all know this shouldn't have happened. But we understand we on the bigger and better things.
During the NFL draft, emotions ran high inside the Sanders household. Deion, sitting quietly on the couch in Texas, couldn't hide his frustration as the night unfolded. When the New Orleans Saints selected quarterback Tyler Shough instead of Shedeur, the look on Deion's face said it all. He shook his head in clear disappointment. And that wasn't the only tough moment. 5 quarterbacks were drafted ahead of Shedeur: Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, Tyler Shough, Jalen Milroe, and Dillon Gabriel, all taken before someone widely ranked as the second best QB in the class. Things got even more confusing when the Cleveland Browns passed on Shedeur not once, but twice. Cleveland had been heavily linked to him. They attended his Colorado Pro Day, conducted interviews during the Combine, and even flew him in for a private dinner. They looked like a serious contender. But when it came time to pick, they skipped over him again in the 3rd round, going with Dillon Gabriel instead. Each round that passed, Shedeur slipped further down the board. And as it all unfolded, Deion sat in silence, visibly stunned by what was happening. This wasn't just a bad night, it was a public unraveling of expectations that left everyone wondering what went wrong. Hold on, there's more to this story. Shedeur Sanders was finally picked in the 5th round of the NFL draft by the Cleveland Browns with the 144th overall pick. But here's what's raising eyebrows. The Browns had 6 opportunities to draft him before that, and passed on him every single time. To a lot of people, it felt like a public snub, almost as if Cleveland was saying, "We'll take you, but only after we've explored every other option first." For someone who was hyped as a top quarterback prospect, the delayed selection sent a strong message. Shedeur's drop had fans and analysts asking, what really happened? This was the same player that many had ranked as the 2nd best quarterback in the entire draft, right behind Caleb Williams. So how does a quarterback with that kind of ranking slide all the way past 4 full rounds? The shock wasn't just about his talent, it was about how obviously the buzz around him didn't match how NFL teams treated him. And with his father Deion Sanders being one of the loudest, flashiest voices in the sport, people are starting to question whether personal bias or off-field perception played a role in the drop. Sources close to league discussions have already suggested that some coaches and owners were simply not feeling the Sanders brand. According to one anonymous coach from a top 7 draft team, Shedeur came off as brash and arrogant during a private interview. That impression alone may have cost him serious positioning in the draft. NFL draft analyst Todd McShay echoed the same concerns. He said that Shedeur's attitude was a key red flag for multiple teams, and added that his interviews with franchises reportedly didn't go smoothly. That's not all. On the flip side, NFL reporter Tom Pelissero hinted at another layer to the story. According to him, it wasn't just Shedeur's attitude that raised concern. It was how his father and handlers managed, the draft process. Word is Deion and his inner circle were trying to dictate which teams could and couldn't draft Shedeur. And in the NFL, that kind of move doesn't sit well. Trying to control the draft board is a bold strategy, and teams don't appreciate being told how to operate. The combination of perceived arrogance, interview red flags, and power plays from the Sanders camp may have created the perfect storm. So while Shedeur Sanders did land in the NFL, his journey there might serve as a cautionary tale, one where talent met politics, perception, and pride on the biggest stage. Last night, a general manager currently evaluating Shedeur Sanders shared some eye-opening context. He pointed all the way back to March 2024, when Deion Sanders made a controversial statement on a podcast that still seems to be affecting the draft outcome. Deion said that if Shedeur or Travis Hunter were drafted by a team they didn't want to play for, he would pull an Eli, referencing Eli Manning's infamous draft day move, where he refused to play for the team that selected him and forced a trade. That comment didn't sit well across the league, and it created tension that's lingered through the entire pre-draft process. From that point on, teams say Shedeur operated like he was dictating where he would go, flipping the draft dynamic upside down. Instead of humbling himself and going through the process like every other prospect, insiders claim Shedeur and his team tried to control it from the top down, and that didn't go unnoticed. Scouts and execs point to several missed checkpoints along the way, skipped events, lack of transparency, and an attitude that suggested Shedeur believed teams should sell themselves to him, not the other way around. Meanwhile, Deion Sanders is now reportedly floating a theory that all of this was a coordinated effort to bring him and his son down. Sources close to Deion say he believes NFL owners colluded to make an example out of Shedeur, to humble the family and prevent a father-son duo from taking over the league. According to Deion, this wasn't just about draft rankings. It was about disrupting what some owners saw as a threat. Shedeur, with his confidence and unapologetic demeanor, combined with Deion's larger-than-life personality, created a storm that the league wanted no part of. Adding even more fuel to the fire, Shedeur got caught in a bizarre draft day prank that raised serious questions about professionalism within league circles. The prank call came from 21-year-old Jax Albrecht, the son of Atlanta Falcons defensive coordinator Jeff Albrecht. Jax impersonated New Orleans Saints general manager Mickey Loomis, calling Shedeur and pretending that the Saints were about to select him with their next pick. After hyping him up, the caller suddenly switched up and said Shedeur would have to wait a little longer. Then he hung up. Shedeur looked stunned, unsure if what had just happened was real or fake. While he handled it calmly, the incident left a sour taste on what was already a stressful and emotional day. This morning, the NFL announced an official investigation into the prank, confirming that Shedeur, son of NFL legend Deion Sanders, had been misled into thinking he was receiving a genuine call from a team. The caller abruptly disconnected, turning what should have been a life-changing moment into a deeply frustrating one. But the voice on the other end of that call wasn't a coach, and it definitely wasn't anyone affiliated with an NFL team. Instead, it was a group of young men seen in a viral video now circulating across social media. In the video, they're impersonating New Orleans Saints general manager Mickey Loomis, pretending to offer Shedeur Sanders a spot on the team. The prank quickly spiraled into a full-blown controversy. A growing number of fans are pointing out that this may have less to do with sabotage and more to do with accountability. Many are suggesting that this could have been avoided with better decisions and stronger focus. One of the biggest red flags that's kept surfacing is Deion Sanders' repeated comments about his sons eventually bringing him into the NFL as a head coach. That idea of a father-son package deal has raised eyebrows across the league. For many NFL executives, that's not just an unusual situation. It's a potential chemistry issue waiting to explode. When you've got a head coach dad and a quarterback son entering the league together, and both have reputations for pushing back on criticism, teams are going to hesitate. The league is built on structure, discipline, and layers of authority. This setup threatens that balance. But at the same time, some fans are stepping back and asking a different question. What if teams just didn't see Shedeur Sanders as the right fit? This is still the NFL. If a player is viewed as a generational, can't-miss superstar, teams will usually overlook the noise. They'll take the baggage if the talent outweighs the risk. So maybe this isn't entirely about race or conspiracy or public perception. Maybe it's about a young quarterback with a lot of potential who still needs to grow, develop, and prove he can handle the NFL both mentally and physically. So what's the truth here? Was this all a strategic move by the league's power players to put the Sanders family in check? Or is Shedeur being held back not by his name, but by the pressure and expectations that come with it? Is this a case of unfair punishment or just reality catching up to the hype? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you've made it this far, hit that like button and subscribe. We've got more deep dives coming your way. Don't miss the next video. It's all about how influence, image, and legacy are reshaping the future of sports. Tap in now.